Hello, it's Rob and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about turning spheres on the lathe. We'll walk through the process of making a sphere turning jig that you can make yourselves without having to spend a penny on any tooling. We're going to use a piece of applewood for that, which is now mounted in the lathe. The idea today is that we're going to take 2 cups, 1 cup that will sit in the chuck on our headstock and one that will fit snugly over the tailstock on our lathe. So we're going to make a cup that fits over the live center in our tailstock. Sphere turning is one of those parts of wood turning that looks complicated, but is actually really simple, especially if you use this jig. The jig allows us to hold the workpiece between the headstock and the tailstock and just carve away the bits that aren't spherical. You'll see us get through this later on, but for now we'll just turn down this piece of applewood so that we can make our cups. Okay, back to the lathe. This is going to be the part that's going to run on my live center. Been having a think about the order of operations here. I think what I need to do is make my hole that this is going to friction fit onto first on this end, and then I'll turn that down so that I can grip it securely with the chuck, and then flip it and then turn the shape for the cup that I need to make. So my least favorite part of wood turning is using my blunt Forstner bits, which I'm going to do now. It's 28 millimeters is the diameter that I need to make. I'm going to go undersize first and then just creep up on it. I really want to get this as snug a fit as I possibly can. Yeah, so we'll do that. That was my last effort. This is today. I think that's going to work. Okay. So now I'm going to cut my tenon down to the size of my chuck, flip it, and then we can make our cup. Again, but I've just put a tiny recess in there. This is for making, so it's at this sort of size, so it doesn't need to be a big recess. But really happy with the fit. Check out the difference. This is the old one. We sort of just sat on the edge there and it could wobble that much. Versus the new one, which it's pretty good. Doesn't need to be pretty. Spins nicely in the live center. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's the hard part done. Next is just to do another cup built off of. Well, actually, I can see a crack there, so I don't need a huge amount, so I'm going to just take that off, remake my tenon, keep it nice and chunky. I want it to last a long time. But yeah, so we'll make the second cup, and then we'll have a pair of sphere turning jigs. We'll do a quick sphere demo before the end of the video. Okay, so this is going to be our first sphere. I'm gone for 80mm for our target size. I can almost guarantee you it's going to come in smaller than that, but we'll see how I do. The first step is to turn it down into a cylinder. I've got a nice piece of sapele here, which has been around for, let's say, 20 years. Is going to be in here, that's our midpoint, that's the outside. So I'm going to relieve down the sides to start with. Not perfect, but it's headed in enough direction, the good enough direction now that I think we can switch over to the cups, and I can show you how they help. The wood is going to show you where the sphere is. You will see a solid line within the shadow line. We're aiming to cut down to there, and then we'll turn, and then we'll cut down to the shadow line, and then we'll turn, and again and again and again until we end up with a sphere. It really is as simple as that. The jig does the work. You'll see, far from perfection. It's not perfect yet. But what I'm going to do now is take from the points where we cut down to, they'll become our next center, and then close up again. So I have a new live center. What happened was I made this cup, and made it to fit over the live center, as you can see. Took this inside and it spent the night in the house, at which point it dried, shrank, and then when I came today to fit this onto my tailstock so that I could do some sphere turning, it's essentially interference fit itself onto the tailstock, and it is not coming out. I don't think that's ever coming out again. So now I have a live center fit, interference fit sphere turning cup, which is nice. I need a new live center now for my tailstock, but hey, that's okay. What we keep seeing on the spheres are a really nice finish, but time and time again the live centers keep marring the surface of the wood where I'm compressing it, so I can't get a perfect finish on it. And this is such a nice piece of wood that I really want to get a nice perfect finish on it. So what we're going to do is temporarily, I think, so we use hot glue, attach a bit of leather, just a strip of leather around the Bible, a bit of leather to the surface of this cup, so that we can have a nice soft close. I thought that I was going to have to make a whole nother chuck mounted cup for the headstock end, but it turns out that the one I had before is still perfectly functional. This one still works fine. This is the one that I was using. See, this is the design for the tailstock, how it mounted into there, but this is actually perfectly functional, and it's still got the mortise in place, or the tenon in place rather, so that I can hold this into the chuck. So I can actually use this as the headstock chuck end now. So that gives me the hard cups for doing the cutting, one soft cup, and then temporarily I'm going to just fit the leather to this one using the hot glue, and then eventually I will make when the new tailstock arrives, I'll make one that I don't interference fit to the live center, that can slip on and off like this one was supposed to. But maybe when this one gets humid again, it will expand and it will release from the tailstock, but that's pretty on there. No, it's not coming off. Anyway, I really want to get a finished sphere out of this tonight. I'd quite like to publish this video, if I'm honest with you. It's really perfectly round. It's beautiful round. And actually this wood, the sapele wood, really surprised me. I don't think I've ever worked with this before. I've just had a blank of it in the workshop for ages, and I grabbed it because I thought it was just a nice looking dark wood, but actually the way it interferes with the light is lovely. So this is the before, I guess. You can still see it's that effect on the end grain. Apparently sapele wood has got an interlinked grain structure that is a bit unique to it. So when you catch it in a certain light, it changes its there's a fancy word for it which I forget, but it changes the way it refracts the light back. Anyway, so it's not perfect. It's not the finished product. I just want to use this to get the sphere turned this evening, and I'm hoping that will stop the marring. So back to the lathe, and we'll get the sphere finished off. Okay, for the finish, we're going to do some Yorkshire grit and then wipe all that off just to braid it down to a really nice smooth finish, and then we'll put on some Danish oil. And hopefully that's the last time I have to sand this sphere, because I think I've sanded this down from 80 to 320 5 times now. But that's a little bit, that is what this all creator hobbies are like, right? We are learning along the way. In this make, we've made the new cups, improved on the previous design, and trial and error is the way. The marring that the solid cups are putting into the wood balls and how to fix those, just troubleshooting one problem after the other. I think that's part of the reason why this hobby is quite so endearing, because we're always learning. Anyway, enough of my yibberings on. Let's get this thing finished up. So, microfine abrasive. It has tiny little particles in it that break down as you work it into your item, and that brings it to a ludicrously fine polish. And there we are.
No sphere is complete, or indeed tries to run away a lot unless there's a base. So I've found a piece of really nice dark hardwood around the workshop, and I'm just turning that down into a stand so that I can give it away. So thank you for joining me today making this sphere. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sure there'll be more coming, as I've got some ideas with inlaying bismuth crystals into hybrid spheres, which I'll be exploring over the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you again.